All right, this is Reflective Practitioner Video Journal number 3 for week 6 on building capacity. I think this is an extremely interesting topic of conversation. Um, I didn't even hear the term building capacity until the last 2 years. Um, Under the principal I'm working under now, who is a very strong leader, who knows how to build capacity because she knows as a leader, she's a reflection of the people she serves, and she is a servant leader. Um, I think building capacity is also one of the most difficult things to do. A lot of people, a lot of teachers are great leaders themselves and are very effective and efficient executing themselves, but they don't know or they don't have the capacity to build capacity in others. And as a teacher, that's so important. You have to be able to build capacity in others because that's the call of education, is to promote and support any student to becoming the best version of themselves through our teaching, through our craft. And really, you can scale that up to the principal, the superintendent, the CEO of any organization. All great leaders are able to make leaders of others. I think it's a hallmark of a great leader, because that's how you expand your reach. It's how you expand growth in others, and ultimately growth in a community, an organization, a school, a society. So this is such an interesting topic of conversation for me in particular. So the question is, what do principals need to understand about your innovations to persuade you to take on more responsibility? I think principals have to intuitively know what people's strengths are, what their areas of growth are, and most importantly, communicate building capacity, communicate the opportunity to build one's capacity in a way that is digestible for their audience. Because I think everyone wants to grow. Naturally, every single person, especially professionals, educated professionals, want to get better at their craft. I don't think there's a single person in education who sees themselves as omniscient or feels like they've learned everything there is to learn. Of course, there are some very experienced, veteran, probably stubborn teachers who are resistant to growth, who may be comfortable resting on their laurels, but I mean, we're in education. Learning is the name of the game. So I think everyone naturally wants to grow, naturally wants to be better. But, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and sometimes when growth is forced upon us, or when someone suggests that we need to grow in a certain area, we need to get better at something, we need to do something differently, that can be really challenging. That can be really, in some ways, I feel like some people take offense to that. And that's just because they're insecure, or because the way that help or that support or that suggestion is communicated, they're not comfortable with. They're not ready to receive it. So I think in order to build capacity, you have to come from a servant leadership position. And you also have to communicate why it is beneficial to the person to grow, especially if it's grown from conflict, which a lot of times is, right? Conflict is stressful, especially when you're dealing with something as fragile and delicate and important as the lives of children. I've got a situation right now in my school of a teacher who just, when he's not in class, he's one of the most happy-go-lucky, positive, amicable people on campus. But for whatever the reason, once he's in class, he's like a wound up ball of tension, and the kids feel it, and the kids feel the wrath, so to speak, of his tension. He comes off as extremely harsh, extremely condescending, and he's losing support and the faith of the students by the day. And we're trying to communicate to him, but again, for whatever reason, we're just not getting through. But I don't think it's because he wants to continue down this path of facing resistance and having challenges and having students not connect with him just for whatever reason, whether it's on the input that we're giving him, or maybe he's not in a position to listen to what we have to say at this current time, we can't build capacity yet. But I think that speaks to more of a conflict in the way things are communicated between the communicator and the receiver, as opposed to a genuine refusal or denial to change. So that leads to the next question: what might principals say or do to help teachers agree to work on building their professional capacities? I've been thinking about this a lot. Like I said, we got a situation like that going on right now. I think the idea of growth, forced growth, necessary growth, has to be framed in a way that is explicit in making the necessity known, while at the same time communicating that there is a vested interest by the person who needs to grow, not just by the boss or supervisor or the school itself. So I think that's a delicate line to walk without sounding bossy or too top down or even aggressive, forceful. I think the best advice I've ever gotten when it comes to forced change and just having to be a better version of myself in a professional capacity was when the advice was given informally. Before it got to a point where my mistakes or my flaws were so habitualized or so much of a pattern that it needed to be done officially in a documented professional setting, where I would feel like, oh, this is going on my record, this is threatening my career, this is detrimental to my professional growth. It was always informal. I understand that's not always how things are done, but I think you can give someone professional courtesy in a way that's still being, I guess, humane and God, humane's not the right word, but I'm at a loss here. Just in a way that's collegial and friendly, pull them aside, let them know, hey, I notice you're doing something that's not yielding the best results. Here's what I suggest. I think it could be beneficial for you. I think it would eliminate a lot of the problems. So I try to do that with all of my colleagues when I see them struggling, before it ever gets to the point of a written email with principals and dean CC'd, or a formal action plan with follow-up steps that gets put in someone's professional file. I try to make sure to extend a hand and speak to them in person, one-on-one, directly, to let them know in again, a non-invasive, non-aggressive way that, hey, I see some issues. I think you see them too. This is what I would do if I were you. I think asking questions as opposed to delivering commands is really important. Hey, I have some suggestions. Do you want to hear them? As opposed to, hey, here's what you need to do. Another really important thing is to show someone how to do it right. Don't just tell them they're doing it wrong. This is a mistake a lot of teachers make too, I think, with students. Telling someone you did this wrong is not the same as teaching them how to do it correctly. Those are two vastly different modes of communicating that something needs to change. So now I think of it, it's uncanny just how similar the tactics and the strategies to effectively communicate with kids can readily and easily be used with adults, especially the teaching profession. My video is already way too long. Thank you.